There's a moment on live television that no one saw coming. The crowd was laughing, cameras rolling, the music faded out. And then, just like that, it got real. Dead real. It happened on Ellen DeGeneres Show, a place known for dance moves, celebrity pranks, and giveaways. Not this. Not faith. But that's exactly where it went. It started as just another interview. Ellen smiling wide, the audience clapping like they always do. Jonathan Roumie sat across from her. Calm, gentle, a kind of quiet intensity in his eyes. He's not a typical Hollywood guy. You probably know him as Jesus from The Chosen, the faith-based series that somehow broke through and captured millions, even people who don't consider themselves religious. But on that day, he wasn't playing Jesus. He was just Jonathan. And Ellen? Ellen was Ellen. Quick, witty. But something was off, like she was testing him. What came next? Nobody expected. Ellen leaned forward with a smirk. "So," she said, "do you ever break character? Like, do you wake up and think, today I don't feel like being Jesus?" The audience chuckled. Jonathan smiled politely. "I mean," she added, "it must be exhausting pretending to be the Son of God. That's a lot of pressure, right?" A few people laughed louder, but something shifted in the room. Jonathan's smile didn't fade, but his eyes changed, softer, deeper, like he was about to say something important. "I don't pretend," he said gently. "I act, yes, but I don't pretend." The room stilled. Ellen blinked. "You don't pretend?" she asked, half laughing. "No," Jonathan said, "because I believe." Now there was silence, not awkward, not tense, sacred, and just like that. It wasn't a comedy segment anymore. Something more honest was happening. Ellen sat back, her tone sharper now. "But you're not Jesus." "I know I'm not," he replied calmly. "But I follow him, and when I act with reverence." Pause. Ellen smiled, that media-trained smile. "Well, that's sweet. But don't you think faith is a little outdated? I mean, come on, we're in 2025. Jonathan didn't flinch. He leaned forward slightly. "Ellen," he said, "people said love was outdated, compassion, mercy. But look around. This world needs something real, something unshakable." There. It was. The shift. The thing that made people sit up on their couches, rewatch the clip, replay it in their heads. Ellen raised an eyebrow. "So, your faith is unshakable?" Jonathan looked down, thought for a moment, then said, "It's tested, every day, but it's never fake." That was when the air in the room changed again, because this wasn't a guy preaching. He wasn't trying to convert anyone. He was just being. The audience didn't laugh. They listened. Then Ellen pushed a little harder. "Okay," she said, "but don't you think it's dangerous? Teaching people to believe in something invisible? Something that can't be proven?" Jonathan's response? Quiet, measured, but powerful. "Is hope dangerous?" he asked. That landed hard. "You don't see hope," he continued. "You don't always feel it. But when the world gets dark, hope keeps people breathing." There was no applause sign, but people clapped anyway, not loud, but honest. And Ellen, she didn't know what to say, so she chuckled. "Well, you're definitely more intense than I expected." Jonathan smiled again. "Just real." What followed wasn't a debate. It was a reckoning. Not loud, but seismic. Because Jonathan started to tell his story, and the audience leaned in like they were hearing something they'd needed for a long time. He talked about growing up Catholic, about falling away, about chasing fame, about loneliness. "You think Hollywood is bright," he said, "but it can be very, very dark." He talked about how, one night, broke and uncertain, he prayed for the first time in years. "Not the kind of prayer you see in movies," he said. "The kind where you whisper, because you don't even think God's listening." He paused. Turns out he was. Jonathan said he didn't hear a voice, didn't see a light. But the next morning I got a call. A small role. Not much money. But it came right after that prayer, and I knew it wasn't random. Then he looked Ellen in the eyes. "I'm not saying faith solves everything," he said, "but it changed everything for me." Ellen stayed quiet. "That's rare," Jonathan continued. He said playing Jesus wasn't a career move. It was a calling, and it scared me. The audience was locked in. You play someone that millions revere. You carry their hopes, their doubts, their fears. He swallowed hard. It humbled me. It still does. Then he said something no one forgot. "Every time I step into that role, I ask for grace, because I'm just a man." The crowd was still. Even Ellen looked moved, and then she tried to pivot. "So, you don't think it's just performance art?" Jonathan looked at her, not annoyed, not defensive, just steady. "I think truth wears many clothes. For me, it wears a robe." The line went viral. For days, clips flooded TikTok, Instagram Reels, Christian pages, atheist forums. Everyone had an opinion. But the raw footage, it spoke for itself. Because something real happened on that stage. Something unplanned, uncontrolled, unscripted. Ellen, to her credit, let it happen. She didn't interrupt, not after that. The segment ran longer than scheduled. When it ended, the applause was thunderous, not for show, but for something deeper. And afterward, backstage, there was a moment even more powerful. A camera caught it by accident. Ellen walked over to Jonathan, quietly. She said, "You caught me off guard." Jonathan smiled. "Not my goal." She looked at him, then said, softly, "I used to believe, a long time ago." He didn't answer right away, then said, "He still believes in you." She blinked, just stood there, then whispered, "I hope so." That clip never aired on TV, but it leaked, and it changed things. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, like dawn after a long night. Ellen never publicly addressed the moment again, but insiders said she asked for a Bible, a leather one, said she was just curious. And Jonathan? He never bragged about the interview, never posted about it. He just kept working, kept praying, kept showing up. Because that's what faith is, not loud, not flashy, just faithful, quietly, consistently, powerful. And that's why the world remembers that day. Not because someone got owned on live TV, but because, for once, truth didn't need volume to be heard. It just needed courage. And Jonathan Roumie, he had that. He still does.